It's one of the most diverse, affordable, and fastest growing cities in Canada, and yet it's often still the punchline in Vancouver chat groups. Ask 5 people what they think of Surrey and you'll get 5 completely different answers. Some say it's the future of the Lower Mainland, a hub of innovation, culture, and opportunity, but others say it's overrun, overrated, and downright chaotic. Depending on who you ask, Surrey is either the next big thing or the last place on earth that you'd ever want to move. So the question is, who's right? The truth is, Surrey might be the most misunderstood city in British Columbia. Because depending on where you go, what you've heard, or how long you've lived here, Surrey can look like a dream community or a total mess. You only get one chance to buy or sell your next home. Let's get it right. So in this video, I'm going to unpack what Surrey is really known for and why it's become such a complicated place to talk about. And to get that started, we're going to talk about the one thing that almost no one seems to agree on. Its size. Wait, what? How can anyone disagree on that? Well, at over 300 square kilometers, it's one of the largest municipalities in the entire country. And that's a big part of what makes it so complicated. Big size means more space, more housing, more green parks, and more room to grow. But it also means more disconnected neighborhoods, longer commutes, and growth that hasn't always kept up with infrastructure. So depending on how you experience it, Surrey can feel like a city with endless potential or like it's bursting at the seams. And that's kind of the story of Surrey in a nutshell. The thing about this city is everyone has an opinion, but very few people have the full picture. Some say it's booming, others say it's broken, and depending on which neighborhood you're standing in, both could be true. It's this weird mix of promise and problems, progress and pushback, and if you don't know your way around, it's easy to get the wrong idea. If you're wondering who I am, my name's Darren, a real estate professional serving the White Rock and Surrey area since 2007, helping hundreds and hundreds of people just like you, including many who we first met here on this very YouTube channel. If you're thinking about making a move, feel free to reach out. I've spent years helping people navigate the city from the inside out, and my goal is to help you separate fact from fiction, one neighborhood at a time. Okay, so let's start by talking about what Surrey gets right and why more and more people are starting to take it seriously. First up, Surrey absolutely nails its green spaces. And we're talking about over 200 of them with more than 6,000 acres of parkland spread across the city. That is a big reason why Surrey is known as the city of parks. You've got incredible urban forests like Green Timbers, which was one of the first reforested areas in all of British Columbia. Then there's places like Bear Creek Park, which is fantastic for families, festivals, and sports. And then you have Crescent Beach, a quieter alternative to White Rock with actual sandy beach space and views straight out across Boundary Bay. But best of all, not just limited to these parks, it's not just green, it's also very accessible. In fact, most Surrey residents live within a 10-minute walk of a park, which is definitely not something you can say about every other city in the Lower Mainland. But as you're going to see later, not every part of the city feels quite so well thought out. Next up is the location, and this is where Surrey really shows its strategic value. It sits right in the geographic center of the Lower Mainland, just south of the Fraser River, bordered by major players in communities like Delta, Langley, and New Westminster, and it connects directly to the Fraser Valley. From Surrey, you can get almost anywhere, and whether you're heading east to Abbotsford, west to Richmond, north across the bridges to Burnaby and Vancouver, or south to the US border, you're plugged into the entire region. You've got Highway 1, Highway 99, and Highway 17 all running through Surrey, and the SkyTrain's Expo line connects you to the rest of the Lower Mainland straight into Vancouver, and the long-awaited Surrey to Langley SkyTrain extension is finally in the works. And unlike a city like Vancouver, which is landlocked and fully built out, Surrey still has a ton of room to breathe. But here's the catch. Just because you're in the middle of everything doesn't mean getting around is always smooth, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more later on in this video. But for now, I want to get into talking about money, or better said, affordability, because affordability is one of the biggest reasons that people even consider Surrey. As of mid-2025, the benchmark price, or kind of like the average price for the average home in Surrey, is about $1.56 million. Yeah, I know that's still a really big number, but I want you to compare that to Vancouver, as of right now, the biggest city in the Lower Mainland, where the average home is sitting at $2.54 million, and that difference is very obvious. That's nearly $1 million cheaper, which is just absolutely wild. And it's not just cheaper than Vancouver, Vancouver, Surrey is over 26% cheaper than Burnaby and 25% cheaper than Richmond. It's one of the few places left in the Lower Mainland where buyers, especially first-time buyers, still feel like they have a chance. There's also way more inventory in townhomes and condos, especially in areas like City Centre, Clayton, Guildford, and South Surrey. So if you're trying to get into the market without driving an hour into the valley, Surrey is one of the best compromises between cost, commute, and lifestyle. There's also something that most people don't associate with Surrey, and that's innovation. But the truth is, the city has quietly positioned itself as a growing tech and health innovation hub. In fact, there's a whole corridor called the Innovation Boulevard in Wally or City Centre, built around the Surrey Memorial Hospital campus and Simon Fraser University Surrey campus. You've got partnerships between the city, tech startups, and researchers working on everything from smart traffic systems to digital health tools. In fact, Surrey was one of the first cities in Canada to pilot smart traffic signals using real-time data to reduce congestion. But not all the city's plans go quite so smoothly. Again, we'll touch more on that in a moment, but right now, I want to talk about one thing that truly defines Surrey, and that's its diversity. According to the 2021 census, over 62% of Surrey's population, yeah, I didn't get that wrong, 62% of the population of Surrey identifies as a visible minority, and more than 47% of residents speak a language other than English at home. That makes Surrey one of the most culturally diverse cities in all of Canada. And that's not an opinion, that is coming from Statistics Canada. Now, that's a 2021 number, and I would actually guess that the numbers have increased, but we won't have the actual numbers until the next census comes out in 2026. In Surrey, you're gonna find vibrant South Asian, Filipino, Chinese, and Middle Eastern communities across the city, reflected in everything from restaurants to businesses to the places of worship. The Vaisakhi parade alone draws about 500,000 people every year, making it one of the largest outside of India. This isn't surface level diversity here, it's deeply embedded into daily life. But that same diversity also plays into something you're gonna notice as we go on in this video, that Surrey doesn't always feel like one city. Sometimes it feels like 5 all stitched together. But before we get into some of that, finally, I wanna make sure I talk about Surrey, and I have to mention its ambitious approach to city planning. This city is growing faster than almost any other city in British Columbia. In fact, its population grew by nearly 10% in just 5 years, and projections estimate that Surrey could hit 850,000 people by 2050. That would make it the largest city in the province, bigger than Vancouver. Now, to prepare for that, the city has made some big moves. You can see it happening in the Surrey City Centre, which is transforming from a quiet mall zone into a real downtown core with high rises and rapid transit and student housing. There's real vision here, but vision without execution, well, that's where things start to get complicated, which we're going to get into next. And by the way, if you want to dive deeper into what's fueling all this growth, you can check out some of the videos in our Living in Surrey playlist, where in one video, we actually break down 5 massive development projects already underway. So on paper, all of this sounds pretty incredible, right? Like big plans, rapid growth, diversity, affordability, green space, it is the full package. But here's kind of where the reality starts to kick in. For every exciting project, there's been another headline about crime, traffic, overdevelopment. So in this next part of the video, we're going to look at what Surrey struggles with, not to scare you off, but to give you the full honest picture. Let's maybe start with one that almost always comes up first, and that's Surrey's reputation for crime. Because let's be honest here, like when most people outside of Surrey talk about the city, this is what they mention. But here's the thing, while Surrey did have high crime rates back in the 2000s and early 2010s, that reputation hasn't really caught up with current reality. According to the province anyways, Surrey's overall crime rate has been trending down for years and is now actually lower than Vancouver's in several key categories. The bigger issue now is the city's messy transition away from the RCMP to its own municipal police force, the Surrey Police Service. While some say it's about local accountability, others say it's an expensive, politically driven mess. But either way, it's added tension and uncertainty uncertainty to a city that's already working hard to shake its old reputation and arguably unfair reputation. Next on our list, we have to talk about infrastructure. To put it simply, Surrey's population is growing much faster than the city can keep up with. Roads designed for quiet suburbs are now trying to handle 21st century traffic. Transit still doesn't reach key areas like South Surrey or Clayton like it does in other parts of the city. And it's not just traffic, it's schools, hospitals, and community centers that are feeling the strain. In some newer neighborhoods, the homes came first and the services still haven't fully caught up. To handle all that growth, Surrey has gone vertical and fast. Also, the city is betting big on transit-oriented development, something kind of forced to them by the province of British Columbia. This means more dense communities around SkyTrain stations or any rapid transit stations. It's a smart long-term play, generally speaking, but it's causing short-term friction. You've got towers popping up in areas that were never designed for that kind of density, raising real questions about parking, schools, and whether the neighborhoods are ready for that kind of pressure. This also leads us into development controversies because Surrey is growing, but not everybody is happy about how it's growing. In areas like Fleetwood and South Surrey, there's been real pushback against rapid densification, especially when it feels like local character is being stripped away. To longtime residents, it can feel like the city is being rewritten overnight without a clear plan. And you're going to hear constant complaints about parking nightmares, overcrowded schools, and the loss of that small community feel that so many people moved here for in the first place. Some areas now feel like a patchwork of half-finished ideas. And finally, this might be the most unique issue of all, is that Surrey doesn't always feel like one city. Driving from the high-rises in Wally to the oceanfront homes in Ocean Park can feel like you've entered into a completely different world. What really sets Surrey apart is how culturally distinct each neighborhood can also be. Some have strong cultural identities that shape everything from local businesses to the languages you hear on the street. For some people, that's really exciting. For others, it can be a little bit of a culture shock, and that's okay. The truth is, no two people experience Surrey the same way. How you feel about this place depends so much on where you land and what you're looking for. It's the complexity of a city that's still growing into itself. Yes, like Surrey does have its problems, but so does every fast-growing city, especially in the Lower Mainland. The difference here is that Surrey is trying to reinvent itself while it's still under construction, and that's never a smooth process. So the question is Surrey a great place to live? Or is it a city that's still struggling to catch up with itself? And really, honestly, the truth is it's both. There's real opportunity here, but there's also real challenges. And since navigating the financial side of buying a home is a huge part of that, I've created a free guide for you called 21 Grants and Incentives for Home Buyers and Owners. It's all about helping you find that hard to find money to keep more of it in your pocket. And that's available for download for you right now in the description below. Listen, if this video helped you paint a clearer picture of what it's like to live in Surrey, be sure to check out the rest of our videos in our Living in Surrey playlist. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and stick around because in the video coming up next, we're going to break down the 3 best areas to live in Surrey depending on your budget and lifestyle. That one is coming up next, and trust me, it'll help you make sense of some of the chaos that I mentioned in today's video. You've heard all about Surrey, British Columbia. You know that it is relatively affordable in comparison to the other areas in the Lower Mainland of BC. You know it's growing incredibly fast. You probably know that it's the city of parks, and it's also being dubbed the city of the future. The big question for you in this video, though, is where to call home in Surrey.